Hi, so in today's session, we'll be talking about multi-source reasoning, one of the types of question that comes in a data insights section of the GMAT Focus Edition. Like the previous videos, we'll be talking about how do this question look like, what are the basic things and strategies that needs to be kept in mind while solving these questions, and then we'll try to solve one question and see how we can solve these questions effectively and efficiently to score good in these type of questions. Let's first of all talk about how does it look like. Now, as the name suggests, it gives information from 2 to 3 sources. Okay, so the question actually looks like let's say the way you see Google Chrome or something like that, where there are multiple tabs and you can click on the tabs to get the different types of information. So now the most important point to understand out here is when you are looking at tab 1 or source 1, you actually don't get to see tab 2 simultaneously. So therefore you will have to make sure that you read tab 1, note down some of the important points, read tab 2, then note down some of the important points, and then try to find out the connection and solve the question. We'll talk about that in the subsequent slides. Now the type of questions that have come is generally one tab will give you a complete passage or a text. The second tab gives you some data or statistics, whether it is in terms of a table or any other type of a diagram. And the third, if any, also is a mixture of text as well as some data or statistics. And we have seen both the type of questions in this type, which is basically the 3-column yes no type of a question that we have seen in data analysis while doing table analysis. The other one is a standard 5-option MCQ question that has been coming for all the other type of questions, even in the quantitative reasoning as well as verbal ability. Now this is how it looks like on a typical type of a question. As you can see that there are 3 tabs in this. The first one tab talks about background information. So when you click on that, then this passage opens up. Okay, now once you have read through the whole thing, then you click on the contract paragraph 3. So therefore when you click on this, that is where this tab opens up, and as you can see, the background information wala tab gets closed. Okay, so that's the most important thing, that you cannot see all the 3 tabs simultaneously. Every time you click on a tab, that specific information opens up. Okay, and same thing for guest list. As I said, when you click on the guest list, this is how it looks like. Now this is a 3-tab type of a question. There can be a 2-tab type of a question also, and most of these 2-tab type of a question are generally conflicting or opposite opinions about the same phenomena or the same story, and therefore it is more like reading 2 RC passages and trying to understand the opinion of 2 people about the same issue, okay, about the same data or something like that. Okay, now therefore what are the important strategies that needs to be kept in mind? The important strategies that needs to be kept in mind is that this, if it is a 3 tabs question or even a 2 tab with around 600 words passages, or as you can most of the time will see, this is undoubtedly the most time consuming among the different types of data insights questions that come, because you have to read a lot of data. Okay, number 1. Number 2, you have to retain them and interconnect them, because as I said that you cannot keep on shifting bar, because that will hamper your concentration during the exam. So every tab you have to read very, very carefully and make notes. Okay, so in the rough paper you'll have to make pertinent notes. So it's not a bad idea to actually see the question first and try to understand while reading the tabs that what type of connections you will need to make. That will help you to save some time in solving these questions. You have to make connections as you read from one tab to the other. Okay, so after you read the first steps, for example, if I look at this one, after you have read the background information, The background information will give you some idea about what is the contract paragraph all about, and therefore when you read the contract paragraph, just try to remember what you read in background information and try to connect it with the contract paragraph. Okay, which is actually a daunting task. So just keeping that in mind, that you should not spend too much time on this type of questions if you are not making any headway out of it. But having said that, okay, since you cannot skip them, don't apply your common knowledge, rely on the data itself. For example, if the passages are about, let's say, environmental science, and you come from such a type of a background, you should not apply your knowledge into the questions. The questions can be completely different and will be purely based on the opinion or the data shared on the tabs itself. Okay, there is absolutely no other way you can solve it using some external data. Now, generally, whatever be the number of tabs or whatever be the type of question, it is a 3-column yes no type of a question or a 5 option MCQ, my strong recommendation is that do not give yourself more than 3.5 minutes. That is true only if the 3.5 minutes stops if you have mixture of text and data and you'll have to do some scribbling and calculations to understand wherever it is going. If it is a text heavy passage, which is like basically two text passages, just read the passages, try to understand the theme, max on the tops 3 minutes. That is how you solve this question. Let's take up a question to understand. So those who are watching the recording, first reads scientist 1, then read scientist 2. Okay, don't do it together because you will be then hampering the pedantic process of solving these questions. So take a pause out here, read scientist 1 about whatever he is saying and read scientist 2 about whatever he is saying, and then we will try to solve the question that is given below. Okay, so I hope you have given yourself approximately 1.5-2 minutes to read through and have made notes. Okay, so as if you have read through and you have read it well, fundamentally scientist 1 and 2 are talking about the same carbon dioxide emission and how it is impacting the weather, how it is impacting the habitation and all the other factors, but they too have different viewpoints. One of them is saying that it is going to be disastrous and it is going to be increasing and this and that and so on, whereas scientist 2 is fundamentally saying that while everything is agreed, but then there is a stability that is coming and there is no direct correlation and something like that. Okay, so hope you have made notes. The numbers are not really important, the theme of the passages are very, very important. Okay, if you now look at the question below, you will see that what they are asking is that consider each of the statements that is given and see whether scientist 1 and scientist 2 are going to agree on this sentence. If they agree, then you mark it as yes, and if they don't agree, you mark it as no. Now, if you have read the questions, read the passages carefully, then in all possibilities, reading through these sentences and marking them yes and no is not going to take much of a time. What is going to take time is reading the passages and reading the passages carefully and making notes. So even if we are fundamentally saying that you take approximately 1 to 1.5 minutes, in this also 1 to 1.5 minutes in reading through the passages and then making notes. The thing is that you have already spent 2.5 to 3 minutes on this question, and therefore you don't have much of a choice but to attack quickly through these questions. Now this is only when we are talking about the passages. If it is actually about passages plus data, then the question might actually take slightly longer time. So keep that in mind while solving these questions. Okay, now let's read through these sentences carefully. It says an increasing carbon dioxide levels affect other factors. Now that is very clear that both the scientists agree to it. Okay, none of the scientists are denying the fact that carbon dioxide levels affect other things like global temperature or vegetation or something like that. So that is something which they agree, so therefore we mark it as yes. Okay, Now let's look at the second statement. It says humans will never be able to stabilize atmospheric carbon dioxide levels. That very clearly the second scientist does not agree. Okay, now if you have read it carefully, he actually says that the increase has slowed down since 1973 and improved technologies will further dampen the increase. So therefore he already is saying that he will be able to control. Right, so therefore humans will never be able to control is something which he definitely does not agree. Okay, and therefore the scientist one really does not matter, because scientist two definitely does not agree to this statement. So therefore even if both of them disagree, the answer is still no, and therefore you can clearly mark it as no. You don't really have to corroborate it with scientist one. You already know that scientist one does not agree to it. So therefore that is the whole idea. The rate of increase in carbon dioxide levels will rise throughout the next year, almost the same line that he is already saying that it will reduce. So therefore at least one of the scientists is actually disagreeing to it, and therefore here the answer is no. This is typically how the question will look like, and therefore as I said, approximately 2 to 3 minutes per question will be the standard time that will be required to solve this question. So just to summarize whatever you have discussed today, make sure that you read the passages very carefully, read the data very carefully. If possible, see the questions first, so that will help you to connect the two passages or the two tabs while you are reading them, so that you can make notes and make the connections. However, do not spend more than 3.5 minutes on these questions if it is a text plus data plus some third tab scenario. Not more than 3 minutes if it is two text, two tab scenario. Not more than that, otherwise you will miss out on some questions, and as you already know that GMAT has very high penalty on not being able to complete the paper. So therefore if you are not getting it within 3 to 3.5 minutes, mark something, move forward. This type of questions actually take a large amount of time, and therefore be very careful that you don't get stuck with one question. Okay, so therefore now we have covered all the 5 type of questions in Data Insights. Go through each one of the videos, understand them, and put your comments or suggestions if any, or queries if any. You can always get in touch with us, and we will be happy to resolve your doubts and queries regarding GMAT. Thank you very much for watching.